But my next vlog is in regards to, is Britain more racist than America or parts of Europe? In my personal opinion, I don't think it is. I mean, there is racism in all communities, whether you're black, white or brown. But Britain seems to be more tolerant compared to, say, Russia or, you know, France, for example. It's definitely more tolerant than America. Well, from what the media's been portraying anyway, from what I've seen on the media. But the Americans are may have been quite nice. But Britain in general, it's a great place to live, and it's not as racist as in other places. Let's see what other people have to say about it. Do you think Britain is more racist than America and Europe?
I do not, because I used to live in Holland. I grew up in Holland, and when I moved to England I felt much more accepted. When my mum used to try to teach us about religion in Holland, we used to have to travel from one city to another to go to the mosque. So when I came to England, now we live right next to a mosque. So I feel much more accepted living in Britain than I did in Holland.
I think there are aspects and groups of people that encourage racism. I haven't experienced any in the UK. I think over the world there is a trend that's occurring, but the small minority of people that incite racism, there's just as many that abhor it and are against it. And I think together we can overcome racism, be in whichever country you are.
I wouldn't say so, no. It's only subjective, but from my own experiences, while we do have problems like anywhere else in certain areas and certain age groups perhaps, demographics, and I think overall race is much less an issue in the UK as compared to some other places where tensions around racism and communities and lack of integration are manifested at sometimes a physical level, sometimes by way of community segregation, and certainly by way of insults, attacks and vilification. I don't think we see that anywhere near as much in the UK today in 2017 as was the case some decades ago in the UK and can still be seen elsewhere.
No. I think that America is far more racist than England and Europe, but I think it's two different complete types of racism. I won't go into the differences, but I just think it's a complete different thing. I do think that England has a very big problem with racism, and so does Europe, but I think it's more underground. But now, because of Brexit and things like Donald Trump and stuff, it's all coming up and out into the open now. But no, as far as your original question, no, I think America's far more racist.
I don't think Britain is more racist than America. As we've seen with the recent election, there's quite a prevalent sentiment for a lot of hatred towards maybe other minorities. I don't think we've got that here in Britain. You saw that when Parliament had this whole hoo-ha about stopping Donald Trump from coming because he doesn't represent the values that we have, as we say, British values, or as people living in Britain. So I don't think it is as racist. As a black Muslim who wears a headscarf in this country, I do not think it is as racist as, for example, other areas in Europe where wearing my headscarf or dressing the way I do is actually an issue and a problem in public spaces. So I think Britain is nowhere near as racist as America or other places in Europe. However, we also need to be aware that if we don't address our social issues, we'll have a few issues later on when it comes to how we look at other people who are different to ourselves.
My personal experience is growing up in the Netherlands or Holland back in the 90s. So that was quite racist environment because you had the skinheads and everything. So I grew up with that. Later on, through the rap and hip hop culture, that sort of became calmed down. And then I moved to UK, Leicester, sort of immigrant town. So I had a kind of a different experience with that. I don't know how it is in the US, but I do know through TV and stuff and what I read and everything, I could make an educated guess whereby I can say America has an institutional racism issue, whereas Europe does not so much so. So yeah, That's my personal take of it.
I don't think Britain's more racist. I feel like in Europe, especially France, I was targeted more because of the colour of my skin, and it was a bit more intimidating. I was getting searched quite a bit, my luggage and things like that. I think with America as well, I'm having to think the second time about going to America because of the whole ban, the Muslim ban, Donald Trump, like my name, my passport picture, so it's a bit of a risk.
Yeah, America, yes, because since Trump's come in, things have gone a bit more worse there. And Europe, I've been to certain places in Europe and I did feel a bit intimidated there than here. I feel a bit more safer here than going in Europe.
I think there's two parts to this. The first part is the government and then the people. So in terms of the government, I think I don't see it as racist. I think the government does a lot for the people. And an example, if you look at France and countries like that where they ban scarves, they have their reasons for it. So we're quite lucky in England that they're not that extreme in terms of certain bans that they do. So in terms of is it more racist, I'd say no. Obviously now I don't live in America, so I don't know, but I mean I can only refer to things like the media. I mean the media at the moment is quite hot on who's been elected, the president obviously, and the certain things, actions he's taking, the certain policies he has. But like I said, I don't live there, so I can't answer for it. I can only refer to what sources I see on the media, and at the moment it's not looking very good. I mean, I've travelled a few countries in Europe, and I wouldn't say I've felt any racism in any place that I've been to. Only thing that's probably happened, I've been stopped at the airport and questioned, but then I put that down to security measures, and it's just checks that they've got to do. Obviously, we're living in bad times of terrorism. A lot of things are happening, a lot of attacks are happening, and you've got to safeguard your country.